Former Defense Secretary James Mattis accusing President Trump of being a threat to the Constitution. In a remarkable and rare statement, Mattis accuses Trump of actively dividing the nation. This morning, former Secretary of Defense James Mattis tearing into President Trump, writing, "We are witnessing the consequences of 3 years without mature leadership. We can unite without him." In an essay published in the Atlantic magazine, Mattis blasts the president for threatening to deploy the military to crack down on protests in U.S. cities.
"I am your president of law and order."
General Mattis writing, "Donald Trump is the first president in my lifetime who does not try to unite the American people, does not even pretend to try." The former defense secretary took aim at the administration's decision to disperse peaceful protesters near the White House Monday, clearing the way for a Trump photo op outside a church vandalized the previous night. The general saying he took an oath to defend the Constitution. "And never did I dream that troops taking that same oath would be ordered under any circumstance to violate the constitutional rights of their fellow citizens, much less to provide a bizarre photo op for the elected commander-in-chief with military leadership standing alongside." In a new interview, the president defended that photo op.
Went there because somebody suggested it was a good idea, and I thought it was a great idea, and it was a great idea. I didn't know if there were people around there or not. Somebody said, "Oh, they were so peaceful." Well, they tried to burn down the church the day before. It almost succeeded. And the church was badly hurt.
Overnight, Trump also fired back at Mattis, calling him the world's most overrated general, adding, "I didn't like his leadership style or much else about him," and many others agree. Glad he is gone. And the White House press secretary called Mattis' statement a self-promotional stunt to appease the D.C. elite. President Trump is the law and order president that has restored peace to our nation's streets. But back in 2016, then President-elect Trump called Mattis one of the great generals.
They say he's the closest thing to General George Patton that we have, and it's about time. It's about time.
General Mattis resigned as defense secretary in 2018 over Trump's plans to pull troops out of Syria. ABC's Martha Raddatz spoke to Mattis last night shortly after his criticism of the president was published.
He said enough is enough, that he really had tried to stay out of it, that he really didn't want to directly attack Donald Trump for all this time. I have known him for so many years. I have known him in Iraq and in other real battle spaces, and he is the most apolitical person you've ever wanted to meet, so this is really quite remarkable.
And now, an abrupt reversal from current Defense Secretary Mark Esper. The Pentagon had ordered 200 active duty military troops in the D.C. area to go home. But after Esper's meeting with the president, the Pentagon announced Wednesday night the troops will remain in place. Earlier, Esper told reporters he opposes deploying active duty troops in response to the protest.
"The option to use active duty forces in a law enforcement role should only be used as a matter of last resort and only in the most urgent and dire of situations. We are not in one of those situations now."
The former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff is also condemning the use of tear gas on peaceful protesters. Mark Mullen says the incident outside the White House Monday risks further politicizing our armed forces.